Hey everybody, it's Funny here once again. Hope you're doing well. Today we're rambling about the Synths Bassline. It is a 14 HP analog full synthesizer voice, and it sounds like this. Okay, if there's anything I want to drive home today with this video above all else, it's that the bassline is not limited to basslines. In fact, I might actually go so far as to say some of the detune and the things that make it really special are perfect for leads. But with that being said, what is it? It is a 14 HP analog full synthesizer voice based on the 3340. So it has all the features you might expect from a full synthesizer voice, like an analog VCO. Here we are listening to the triangle wave. It has multiple waveforms. There's the saw. And I'm pretty inclined to stay in that mode. But here's the square. Go back to our saw because I love it so much. We have a filter. And resonance. We're in low pass mode right now. And it will self-oscillate. But if we get into bandpass mode, you get some real throaty stuff going on, especially under high resonance. And when I think bass lines, I think bandpass, at least when I think 303. Back to low pass mode for simplicity, open that all the way up. Then we have two envelopes in here, I believe. We have the VCF, so you can control the decay of that VCF, and then the amount with the cutoff CV, which you can either bypass this envelope with CV into the cutoff CV or apply that onboard envelope here. So let's close this up a little bit. And the nice thing is these LEDs on there show you the length of the decay, so we can just kind of, for me, eyeball it basically to a point where you can see the envelope is dropping off a little bit, and then apply that. So here's none. Filter does sound really good. I don't know how close it is to the 303s, but it does sound great. Apply some of that envelope to it to open it up. Go a little more resonant. Oh, we're blooping. It's froggy time. Let's do the square wave. Saw. Triangle. I don't find I use the triangle too much, but hey, it's there. It allows you to get even crazier on some of these, if you really want to make that filter squeal. I don't find I use bandpass without tracking volt per octave too often, but it is there. I really love how the saw wave sounds. If we open that envelope up a little more, we will turn down our sequence BPM even more just to let them ring out. I have a friend who I've been talking to recently who's like very convinced that analog envelopes are what makes things juicy, like the actual curves of them is really important. If you have any thoughts on that, let me know in the comments. And then, of course, there is a VCA envelope. So there's no amount I think that actually is a VCA amount on the Dope full synthesizer voice, if I'm not mistaken, but here it's 100% basically. It'll get all the way down to just snapping. Or essentially all the way open, it'll be a full oscillator. Now you do also get oscillator outputs. There's our square. Ignores the VCA, so I'll turn that all the way down and it still goes. Triangle. And when I first got this originally, and this is the second time I've owned it, haha, I thought this was kind of silly, like why wouldn't I want those other things? But in a full system when I'm not using it, it's actually pretty useful to just have access to, another audio rate oscillator to modulate other stuff. Now you can also internally patch it for that reason. Let's go back to the main output. I'll get into some of those other things that you want to do. But what is really interesting on the VCA front, there's an accent input here, which I thought was, I don't know, kind of crazy. Which again, I was like, that's a very drum-focused thing to me, right? Like something you would see on the Percon's voice or on drum modules. You don't really see it on a synth voice, but it's actually really cool. So what it does is it opens up the filter and adds a little amplitude. So let's just send a really slow LFO in here. So when that accent is high, it just like is a modulation macro basically. And I find I don't usually use those things too often on my drum voices because I want to do all of that modulation myself. But I really like it here. So if you're doing a random shape, yeah, probably want to slew that a little bit, but it does, make it a little more dynamic, right? So I switch it to the slewed random mode. Just a nice macro control for doing some fun stuff. Make my envelope shorter. Now, just to make this really 303-esque, I'm going to add a little glide on the sequencing side. Yes. So all the things are great. I really love how all the individual pieces sound. There is also FM over the oscillator. I don't find I use this too much, but you can self-patch it with the outputs, right? So I have triangle output is always running, ignores the VCA. You can use that to FM it. I do find like it doesn't create like a super unique tone. I don't know if I'd use this, but if you're really interested in like a pseudo 2-op FM, it's there. It does mean the pitch is tracked on the operator and the modulator, right? So that's a nice thing about it, right? So you can kind of not set a ratio, but set the level here and then have it move along with your sequence. If you do the square, it's probably going to make it really poppy. No, just kind of sounds like it's extending that glide even further. Just use audio rate from Mind Phaser. Again, it's always kind of hard to make the musical when you're doing those sort of things, but if I bring it down to LFO, right? You want it to get real wacky. FM options are there. Again, I don't know if I'm going to use them all that much because I just love a straight up bass line. We do have that glide going right now, but turn that off for a second. What makes the bass line really special and unique, I wasn't familiar with the acid box. I don't know how this differs from the ones there, but you do get a sub-oscillator, so maybe I'll just pitch this up in tone just to give it a little more spread to work with. Then we'll bring in that sub-oscillator, so I understand this is a transistor-based one, but just fattens up the low end. And I believe you can actually mix it in fully. And I don't know if it's just square. If I open the VCA all the way up, can I tell? Oh no, there's definitely some. It sounds huge. Let's go into the square wave. Triangle. That actually sounds nice. Maybe there is a use for the triangle in that sense too. If you have some real hefty low end, you can kind of beef it up even further with triangle wave on top. So let's take the sub-oscillator out for a second so I can demonstrate this next part. And then you have this detune circuit, which I understand is a bucket brigade sort of thing, and I hear some wave animation going on to my ears, right? and it sounds phenomenal. So detune's coming in. This is an effect. It's not actual oscillator spread. And it sounds like wave animation to me. I don't know what they do specifically, other than it's analog, being that it's a bucket brigade, I believe. But it sounds fantastic, right? So, I love my super saws, and I don't associate them with bass, but the Bassline includes an amazing super saw. Listen to that. And then bring in that sub. Bring in my VCA and use this as a full voice now. Slow down my BPM a little bit. And I would just really want to drive this home that, like, yes, it's a bass line, but these leads are phenomenal. Listen to this. Like, I switch over to the square. You get almost this PWME thing. Take out the sub, just detune, just the square. Just detune on the super saw. Triangle. Raw. Whatever Gordon Ramsay said. Okay. Super saw, square. Oh, it sounds so good. Now I am going to mult my volt per octave output, and we'll take our accent out, and then we'll apply that to the cutoff CV, and maybe we'll try a little band pass. So interesting. Okay, so the envelope is still firing when you send it cutoff CV. So I'm tracking volt per octave, so I can use the band pass a little closer to where the pitch is. Here's the sub out, detune out. Yeah, there we go. It's both at noon, yeah. So, I just want to point out that, yes, again, for the 5th time here, bassline, yes, but so versatile. And yes, it can do basslines. Listen to this. You want your throaty frog blooping. Here comes the detune. Sub for more heft. Go back to low pass for even more heft. And I'll just say, the only piece that I think is missing, is some distortion. So on that note, I mean, like effects and other things, but I consider distortion to be part of the 303 recipe, if you will, the bassline recipe. So in comes the Endorphins Ghost. Transparent tone, no reverb, no nothing. I just want to bring in some distortion. And that really completes it for me. I wish I could probably insert this before the filter, but if I have one complaint that, distortion would have been nice. Would I give up the detune effect for that? Probably not, no. Because this is really special and really unique. Let's go back into the super saw mode and yeah. Yeah. More distortion. Just absolutely annihilate it. Yeah. Bring up the tempo. Maybe not that fast. A little slower. Press it a hair. Delay. reverb. Yeah. Triangle, lots of stuff. It's like out of audio rate territory in that. Interesting. I love my supersaws, like I said. That's something special. Comes distortion. Alright, I'm going to use this to play us out. Hey, I'm Tafony. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that crap. The YouTube's always on my case, but not promoting to you, and I'll see you in the next video.